what you have developed with the Air Alert Siren app is something really important for Ukraine. And it's one of the examples that we want to bring forward. Also, when people apply for our program, saying it's these sort of things that make a huge impact for ordinary people's life. And I've seen them in practice with our current cohort of Ukrainians, where often during some of our sessions, master classes, during the war, of course, their phones have been ringing with an air siren, and you've been behind that. So I want you both to explain to us how you came up with that, and also how you could see further developments in how tech could help Ukraine digitally protect itself and also win the war.
Hi, Jonas. Hi, all. Thanks for the invitation, and it's a big honor to talk to you today. So yeah, being the biggest manufacturer of security equipment in Europe drives us to create robust and sleek software. And before some years, we received invitation to use critical alerts functionality that allows to send notifications even if the app, if the mobile phone is in sleeping mode, for example, in night mode. And when everything happened on the 24th of February, our developers began some discussion about how to make, how to strengthen traditional sirens on the streets, and not to be, and in the case if they are destroyed, which happened often at the beginning with the missiles, we should create some additional channel for communication about the air alerts. And together with another outsource company, we developed app in a few days, which is called Air Alert. We released it like in 5 days after the first missiles landed our land. And now we have 11 millions of downloads of this app. It is widely used all over Ukraine, and it helps not only civilians, but also people in the army to get to know about the air alert in the region. And now we cover not only air alerts, but we cover artillery, fire, street fighting, some chemical or radiation hazards. So we are still developing and making it more mature. And this app was developed also with the huge help and support of the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine, because at the beginning it was very important to receive some trust from authorities and let people know that they can trust this channel. So we talked to Ministry of Digital Transformation regarding this, and they supported us, and they provided all the needed support to build, to digitalize this old sirens approach. So now it works like the most interesting thing is how we receive these alerts and spreading to other citizens. So we receive them from our army, and so we have like direct connection, and they activate it for each region. So we don't parse any unofficial channel. So all the alerts are activated by close to people, to army.
Thanks, Valentin. What has been then some of the, or where are you now actually with the app? Are there new things you want to do in it? I was also thinking Out of curiosity, when you of course see with the liberated areas how difficult it's been for even mobile phone reception, does this work even though you don't really have reception, or it can't override that, right? This is only, you still need some basic mobile phone reception in order to get the siren alert.
Yeah, you need cellular to get this alert, but due to the very huge work that is done by our telecom operators, that they are rebuilding very quickly the network through the liberated areas. So we are quite successful in it. So now we are supporting some backend. We are developing some additional backend functionality to make it more convenient for the people that are used to activate these sirens. And also now we are working on English version of the app. So app now has like English interface, but the sound this please be patient, it's air alert, please go to the shelter, and this official communication voiceover is available only in Ukrainian. So now we are working and we are trying to get some famous celebrities to make this voiceover in English, well-known abroad celebrities, to create some additional interest to the situation abroad, and make people feel how to live when you have tons of air alerts per day.
That's a project that full support. That sounds like a great, and you've already inspired, I think, all of us with what you've already done. My last question would just really be if there's anything else you see also, because this is a launch for applications for areas where tech-savvy entrepreneurs can help Ukraine to win the war. Are there other things you see that Ukraine in this front really needs from your vantage point of course, both being in country during the war, but also being in the tech sector, developing some of these solutions?
Buy Ukrainian goods, spend money with Ukrainian companies, with Ukrainian software, but it's not about like just buy because it's Ukrainian. We have plenty of products that are on the top market level. Such companies as Grammarly, MacPo, PetCube, and etc. that are well known all over the world. And with your money you pay for the products, we support our army, and we make additional. We can get additional employees. So starting from the war, our company has increased its local manufacturing facility in 50%. And we have increased our number of employees from 1,700 to 2,500. So even with the war and even with the loss of some amount of revenue from the Ukrainian market, for example, we are still focused on business continuity and working hard to develop our business and to support more our army and our country, and very needed initiatives inside it.
Thank you, Valentin. I mean, I think you embody kind of the resilience that all of us really admire so much of the Ukrainian people, that the way you have, of course, first of all, been attacked brutally by Russia, but the sort of civic resistance beyond, of course, also the military resistance and the advances that you're making on the battlefield. So I am personally also, when I hear somebody like you speak, very encouraged, and also, as you suggest, by Ukrainian goods. I would add actually also keep supporting Ukrainian military. I give a certain amount each month of my salary as well to the army, and I know our countries are transferring weapon supplies, and I think for all of us it's important to underline that, even though today, of course, we are mostly talking about the tech part. So, Valentina, to you and the team at IX System, I just really want to give you Godspeed and for your continued work, and of course stay tuned here in the debate. But now I'll kind of end our conversation, and for everybody, just remind again, if you joined a little bit later, what we are talking about is the Democracy and Tech Entrepreneur Program with the Alliance of Democracies Foundation, where we are launching this year's applications. We're launching it with this inaugural event with our Ukrainian friends, because one of our big priorities for this year is to help Ukraine digitally win the war. And people who's been on board from the beginning of also saw a small video in the beginning. So we encourage spread the word and do apply. And I hope when you've just heard Valentin from IX speak, that you feel kind of inspired about what are some of the possibilities you could do to help Ukraine digitally win the war. Next on my great speakers list is that I have Natalie Verameva, who is director at Tech Ukraine, who has also joined us here today, and we'll also speak a little bit on the same sort of topics as well. And so I want basically to kick you off a little bit. Natalie, to kick you off with the same question as to Valentin on some of the digital applications that you have seen from a sort of broader perspective in the war in Ukraine, and also how this could inspire some of the people, entrepreneurs we want to apply to our program.
Yes, thank you, Jonas, and hi everyone. Happy to be here and happy to see such a wonderful initiative being launched. I believe that technology is one of the also key elements for Ukraine to win this war, and generally in the current condition, digital interactions and technological advance and advantages and more complicated systems are actually, I think, very important factors to succeed in establishing democracy, and also in protecting those democracies and those communities and societies that already are existing. As for your question about applications, I would say that here we really do have a boost of different applications that were done for the military purposes and for logistics and for humanitarian purposes. I would say that first of all, why this could happen is because our technological sector before the war was already quite well established and strong. We were developing actively. Tech sector gained more and more attention from the government, and Zelensky came also as a president with his slogan "Country in the Smartphone." And before the war, and especially also during the war, the applications that did the Ministry of Digital Transformation together with different partners were quite powerful. I'm speaking about DIA and also about those applications that were integrated into DIA, because before the war it started as the digital passport and the digital identity cards, but when the war started it was also used for identification of enemies, for example, because we have this Yevorog like part of the application, which allowed to identify the enemies and also send in a very quick manner this place of the enemy vehicles or the enemy soldiers to our armed forces, which increased the communication. We had the special game that allowed to just you play the game, and at the same time you're attacking Russian websites, helping to put it down. put them down. And you have like face recognition, and currently I also heard that this face recognition that is used to identify yourself, and even you can sign documents right now just with your face. This technology is currently being developed to use to recognize the face of dead Russian soldiers to fight the Russian propaganda claims that they don't have any losses. So like the intention is just to somehow get to the Russian society to realize the amount of price that they're paying for this ambitious, pointless aimings of the president and all the authorities that are currently making this decision to attack our country for strange reasons. And you have some other parts at DIA. So DIA proved to be very useful in this terms. You have also TV channels over there. You can send money over there. You can get support over there. You can report your house is damaged also over there. So like you have the digital education for kids, I think, over there as well. So it became the multifunctional tool for Ukrainian citizens to use for different purposes, and by adding some additional applications there, it is in a flexible way. It can already deliver this service to this vast amount of population that is already using this application, and this number is big. Apart from the efforts of Ministry of Digital Transformation, there are of course other teams that developed their own applications. And here, as was already mentioned, like Air Alert app done by Ajax in cooperation with the Ministry of Digital Transformation is a very useful one. We also have another different applications like Play for Ukraine, where you play and at the same time you attack Russian websites. You have also the application that allows to check whether you have the Russian spyware, because of course part of the war is the cyber war, and like we are doing our making our efforts to just to attack the Russian infrastructure, but at the same time they are also doing the same. So there is an application that is identifying Russian spyware and also identifying, like the MACPO, for example, also developed the system that allowed not to call each time their employees or just chat like how are you every day, are you okay, but monitor that they're present. So like the idea of this application is that if the person is using the phone, so it's just the signal is there that they are fine. But if for some time, I think the application is not used, or when the cure comes, he's not responding and more than a certain period of time, so that the system sends alerts to check if this or that employee is fine. So they are not removed the need to all the time ask each other, are you fine? Are you okay? Like everything is okay, so that if there is any emergency situation, so that they can react quickly if a person, for example, has no possibility to react at this point of time. Then we have the shelter Prihostok application, which allow to help people find housing for those that have their houses destroyed. For example, you have the like help in evacuation application that helps people to combine forces, those that have vehicles with those that don't, and go together from the dangerous place to safer ones. We have the application, different applications of other types of help that people help each other. And this is, by the way, is quite normal for Ukrainian society to like really cooperate and to help each other, because we even in our culture have the phenomenon of toloka, when people are gathering to do something together. So these applications are also like trying to introduce technology into this cooperation and people helping each other. So we have Pomich, for example. The Pomich is coordinating humanitarian delivery and also search for careers. We have the job from the home front, when people are willing to donate their skills and their capacity for this or that type of volunteer jobs. And also some medical applications that help to teach how to react in this or that case when some emergency situation is happening. Of course, there is much more. This is just a small part. Like everybody, especially like in the tech sector, those that can create something, they of course use their skills to do something, because indeed this is a very, like, it is people's war. So this is really like, we feel that we defend our country, and this is really very important. So nobody can stand aside. Everybody is doing what they can in order to help the country to really defend the right to build our own future, and the right to stay the democracy, because this is actually something that we want to be, and we don't really share this authoritarian views and regimes. These applications, and then we have also other things. For example, like Telegram channels were quite useful in uniting people for IT, like creating IT army of Ukraine. So then internet, also army of Ukraine, they are creating content that they are sharing for, like, especially in the first months of the war, we tried to knock to Russian people to explain that this is something, horrible things are happening, so that they could stop their government. And we failed with that, but at least there was an attempt to do that. And different kind of social media advertisements, and trying really to get the message through there. And of course, we also working with the information war that Russia is unfolded to the Western world. So we needed to also deliver our messages, and we don't have all this propaganda machine. So that was the efforts of people to tell the true stories of what is going on, and that also required some technology to unite these people in order to really have this efforts being organized. We also have the cyber part of the war, like the hackers are hacking the websites. They're trying to somehow prevent from effective operation of the war machine, so that just to put some obstacles. So there are really a lot of efforts that were already done, and I think that still. Still, this is not enough for us to really feel that we have done everything we can, and enjoy the victory. So this war is not over. So like more efforts, and like this is why I think that this event is very important to maybe also think about some gaps that the technology is not used yet, and fill them with some good solutions.
Well, thank you, Natalie. Thanks for that inspiring overview. I think there was really a lot of great examples you gave, but also what you said, there's more to be done. So this is part of it. So thanks to you and to Take Ukraine, and for partnering with us on this.
And I have some ideas.
Yeah.
Yes, I have some ideas about areas where this new software could make good use. So I would actually divide the directions into several into several segments or sectors. So first of all, you have the humanitarian part, where you need to take care of people, and here we have people that need to go from places, just people that need psychological help, people that need to have their houses built, etc. So there could be some solutions in this respect. And what I was thinking about, apart from something that was already done, is like when I'm thinking about the donations, there are big funds that are gathering the donations, and there are also some small small like people, volunteers, organizations that are also gathering their donations. I think that for some people it is important to know that like what they do, like this is causing some direct impact to some specific person, for example. So there could be some application, for example, where people from the West, from the world can donate, for example, to rebuild homes for those that have their homes destroyed, or help in any other way, maybe provide some medical help, etc., person to person. So you connect to another person and you actually like help this specific person, and you establish some friendly relationships with this particular person because you have this human exchange, and maybe then you can actually also exchange some like view on life, some cultural exchange can happen, but at least this could be like some really personal and really emotional part. So there could be some application that, for example, you can just some people can choose to just to apply for help, and others can choose to apply to provide this help to these people, either money help or some other kind of help. This could be like a good solution. Then we have the segment of business recovery, and now I'm speaking about some really full, like big scale projects. And here, the problem here, like not the problem, but a challenge, is we need to we have a lot of different infrastructure and businesses destroyed. And currently, we need to shape some kind of projects and maybe post some projects and post some ideas and do this fundraising, crowdsourcing, and maybe control over realization. So like some enterprises, for example, they will need to be done from scratch or rebuilt probably with automation. And there could be some application helping to shape the business project, and also then to get support to this particular business project from international investors, for example. Then also a lot of different small enterprises, not only in tech, but generally are also need some help in like relaunching their businesses or launching businesses, like really micro enterprises. And here, I don't know, maybe people that run this type of businesses, like bakeries, for example, or production of some small things, they can also establish this connection with similar entrepreneurs from Ukraine and exchange experience, exchange, maybe also give these mini grants and become partners in doing this type of activities, or attracting, for example, funds in order to help these people become true entrepreneurs. Then you have finance and logistics, and here I think it would be useful to have some kind of control over the donations, the funds. Like, of course, you have the government donations, and they are just spreading it. And it also would be nice to have some kind of application just that shows how the budget is being used. And this is also a very important part of the democracy to control over public spending. But also the same thing could be useful also for us to understand that this particular donations, this particular money are being used to buy this or to buy that, and then you have the quality control, for example, over buying the casks or some other things, because there are sometimes some mistakes when the like, for example, the caskets that were bought are not of the right quality, and sometimes they are vulnerable. So there needs to be some platform that would be, for example, uniting volunteers, because you have this big, again, funds, and then you have a big number of the small volunteers that are taking care of a specific army part, and there are a big number of that, because on Facebook I see a lot of different volunteers gathering money for this or that particular battalion, for example. So if they have one platform where all the volunteers could be united, when they can have their requests from their particular battalion that they take care of, and for example, these donations can be somehow aggregated on one platform, just spread over these volunteers. And then these volunteers also, via some technological tools, show how this money are being spent. That would automate and I think facilitate and make it much easier, this work that they are already doing at the moment, because they are just doing it manually, but maybe some automation could be really useful. Plus, if there is some tracking of deliveries of this ordered goods from the place where they ordered to the because like this logistics, there are a lot of different warehouses, like there is damage, or there are some other unpredictable things happening. So if this could be tracked by an application and somehow managed, this could help also to make this better. Then we have energy part. We need, like now Russia is attacking our energy infrastructure. And here we need to think about some solutions to make homes sustainable. It's sustainable energy, but it's also making homes energy efficient, maybe some kind of an application that can analyze the energy efficiency of the house so that people can make it warmer, for example, so that they can spend less energy on heating the place. Plus all sorts of solar and wind solutions for individual housing are also very well.
Thank you, Natalie. I think those were all in all the areas really good suggestions. I also want to bring in, because we both have our some of our current democracy and tech entrepreneurs from Ukraine. So we have Tamara Tashinska of Killer App, who is joining us, and Nikita Kianets as well, who has already been helpful and putting in links in the chat when some of these different links to some of these different things in Ukraine. So I think it would be great to have you join the debate as well. You have both been in the program working on your individual projects, but I also know that you've, as both of you have been really dedicated, of course, to digitally win the war in Ukraine. So Nikita, we have also done different things together with the Ministry of Digital Affairs, of trying to sort of see how the outside tech could sort of block Russia as much as possible. But so I want to bring both you, Tamara and Nikita, into it also, because you've been in the Entrepreneur Fellowship before, been in Copenhagen at the Copenhagen Democracy Summit, which is sort of now that we have the launch for application and when we have a selection, the end of it is the Copenhagen Democracy Summit next year, the 15th, 16th of May. Tamara, maybe you've heard both reflections on sort of taking Ukraine and then the kind of things you need, and of course maybe also just your own experiences of joining us this year, and afterwards Nikita as well.
Thank you, Jonas, and hi to everyone. It's an honor to be here, and I'm honored to represent my cohort. Because there were solutions from Venezuela, Georgia, and Ukraine, and they're very great solutions, and I wish them prosperity. And reflecting my participation, I think I am a lucky one, because I got an invitation to participate this cohort just in February, and when the war started, the full invasion started. That was one of the reasons why I continued to work on my pretty young product. And I got a lot of support and knowledge and feedback, and that was priceless. And of course, that was priceless to meet not only it wasn't just like speakers, keynote speakers, but that was doers, and that was investors, and as well there was an activist, the activists who shared with us the real need for democracy, and on the other hand the need for any entrepreneur, despite of the sphere, that was mixed that way, that it really helped me for sure to continue. And of course, the top of the experience was the participation of Copenhagen Democracy Summit. and the presence on that scene in front of all those people all over the world, and hearing the discussions on democracy development, and of course pitching in front of them and got feedback from real players. And after the beginning of June, I got back to Ukraine with more energy to continue to fight for my product, because it is a challenge to continue when you are not just established business, but when you're just started. And I think that all that feedback helped me to and I suppose that we will show you soon our next step and so on. And I would like, in terms of democracy and tech for democracy, this cohort, next cohort, and the needs of Ukraine, Natalia got a comprehensive list of our needs. I just was opposed to think what else to add, but I have something to add. I'm thinking about what I saw, because I was traveling and was speaking with people from different countries. We need this tech for cross-cultural communications, because we are all aware that we depend on the international support. Without international support, Ukraine is fighting just very hard, but we need this international support, and that support based on the perception of just people from abroad of what is going on. What is democracy for Ukraine? What is cultural aspect? What is historical aspect? And moreover, what is economical aspect? And I'm thinking about that solution, tech solutions that will help with literacy on economy, how global economy works, how global history works. Because what I see that a lot of people who will join some elections, and we all know that politicians very much try to measure what their people think about the situation, and so we need this educational component. I mean, to introduce some life learning component to this cross-cultural communications on the one hand, and on the other hand, we need the same lifelong learning for Ukrainians, because now we are focused on surviving, and after the war will end, we will need to focus on thriving, to developing, and of course to developing our civil society more, because I think that our nation is very much powerful in times of crisis, but we have this challenge to develop in times of peaceful development. I have a very much strong belief that we will win sooner than later, and we will need these solutions for sustainable development. This is just in a nutshell what I would like to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tamara. And the two of us have also done, since the war started, the Twitter spaces that we held Voices from Ukraine, where it's always been a pleasure to hear your voice. So, I'm just glad to see you every time. Nikita, the word is next to yours on your experiences in the program, and how you would love to see sort of the next cohort of people that can apply, and then we'll also open it up as you finish up to questions, so that if there are some in the either we see in the chat, I think some of those have been answered, but people can also ask questions of us, and of course, great, just as much of me, of you, because you both Ukrainians work in tech and have been in the program, so you're kind of the best source. But Nikita, look forward to hearing from you.
I'm really happy to be here. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to share experience, and of course, given we have a very specific vector of where we could apply our skills and our backgrounds in tech, and not only, I think it's a great opportunity. What I wanted to share is that for whomever who is about to apply for this program is persistent. And the fact that you participate in the program today during the cohort number 3 means that you will be with the program forever, and you'd be able to develop and use the network that the program provides, and this is a very powerful network, believe me. What in this light, I think looking at the digital space, we need to remember that the digital space is now isolated in when we talk about war. It is isolated in a separate domain or a persistent domain, which goes along with other domains such as a nuclear warfare or a standard conventional warfare. The war is not going to end when the active measures of Russian army will stop in Ukraine. It's going to persist over time. It's going to be always there. It's going to come from all over the places, not only from the physical borders where Russia is or where other authoritarian spaces are. So I think it's a thing to remember when we talk about this war and the goals for Ukrainians to win this war and survive. I personally very much believe, like everyone, I guess, here in this call, that Ukraine is going to win. The question is the price, and what price Ukraine is going to pay for winning this war and for proving the right for survival and thriving and living. For me, the program started when I applied a couple of years ago for a project that had a broader context than just Ukraine, even though I'm a participant from Ukraine. And I think this very much applies to what Alexander and Natalie was saying about the possibility to build your business in Ukraine. We have a very, very large opportunity to build proof of concept and then scale them to a broader world, to be showcased, to test our ideas, to have a very safe but at the same time very real space to test this idea. So I encourage everyone to apply and to join the cohorts.
A question.
Go ahead, Tamara. Yeah, I just put out in the chat to everybody listening to us that this is, of course, now the time that you can also. It's a while since I've used Zoom. I was always about to leave this webinar. That was not what I wanted to do, to close the chat. So Tamara, you were going to say something, and my message was to everybody: this is now the time to ask questions about it. I mean, we will also in the end put up a slide where you again can see the call for application. I can see the QR code that's also joined as one of the participants that you can scan. But Tamara, the word is yours.
Thank you. I would like to add one of the meetings that we had in the second cohort was the meeting with Leopoldo Lopez, Venezuelan politician. He's a leader of opposition, and he raised very emphasized a very important topic, which is about battle of narratives in terms of tech for democracy and how to help the democracy to win against autocracy and so on. And I wanted to just quote him. He mentioned that we should focus first on content, to creating some content to spread on the democratic values and so on. It is about distribution. And this is about social media and not and other channels, and we have to understand how it works and what's the pros and cons of it. And the third one is this infrastructure. I was surprised to know that in Venezuela they don't have enough smartphones and don't have enough internet to use all our solutions, you know. So. And I think in Ukraine, we have some villages where Starlink doesn't work and so on. So I think infrastructure is crucial for democracy, not only in Ukraine, but all over the world. So yeah, I want to added, and I think it aligns with all that Natalia said previously. Thank you.
Thanks, Tamara. And we now have a question from Atanas Tetikov. Do you think innovations in the area of early screening of women's health in Ukraine corresponds to the goals of the cohort? That is a good question. And I can see my colleague Richard is already about typing an answer, who's our program manager and who is diligently in running the Democracy and Tech Entrepreneurs for 2 years. My little bit gut reaction would say that's not impossible. We have a broad, kind of relatively broad definition of what, but it should of course be something that's both a tech application and something that's beneficial to democracy at the same time. I can actually maybe just list the eligibility criteria here in general for everybody listening in. Applicants should have started a scalable business based on innovation that meets our democracy tech criteria. We set a great emphasis. Of course, this year's themes is on helping Ukraine digitally win the war, but it's of course not limited to that, also because we have applicants from Georgia and Moldova, where some have applications that are more specific to their country. Applicants, you could of course have, as you've heard through the day, proficiency in the English language, and part of what you submit is a 1-minute presentation of your innovation that already helps you set kind of what would also be the end goal of the program that you present and pitch at the Copenhagen Democracy Summit, which faithful listeners that's been with us since the beginning saw in the video, where you among others saw Tamara on stage. And right now, our target countries are Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, and Armenia. And I did see there was a question in the chat about Belarus, particularly in exile, and we have thought about expanding, but we're also a bit worried about the whole security aspect, if it's people from inside Belarus and so on. But it's something we're definitely also open to considering. And of course, not least, but is of course a strong commitment to democratic values and freedom. And now I see Natalie had. I also wanted just to, if there are no other audience questions, I precisely wanted to make sure that also Valentin maybe and Natalie, if you had some sort of concluding mentions to possible applicants here and people in general that want to help Ukraine digitally win the war, then of course both Valentin and Natalia, you're also welcome to chip in with your last remarks. And we are kind of coming to a close, I can see, because we got 2 minutes left before we hit the hour. So Natalie, any parting thoughts you want to share?
Yes, like really short closing remarks. So what I didn't mention about these ideas is this part of the information war, mental health, and digital literacy. Especially the mental health is important for people to stay really balanced with their emotions. And also this war of narratives that Tamara mentioned, I can't really say better, because it is really so very important to work with the information. So I hope that people that are applying themselves understand this or that pains, or have partners in Ukraine that are fully on the ground and can help with this applications to solve the real problems in just different directions. Really, there is a lot to do. Ukraine is a giant sandbox right now. It can be used as this test ground, so to say, and then these applications can probably make a lot of use for other countries, like with similar problems or with some other ones. So I'm just wishing everybody good luck with this, and hope that really startups, what startups do, they change the world with the bright new ideas, and I hope that these startups will be the success as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. I wanted to mention that today is the official launch, of course, after it runs till our application runs to the 20th of November. So there's still a while. So I hope all of us up on the panels will help each other with sharing this with other Ukrainian tech entrepreneurs that could be interested in applying and using this as an opportunity of having an international support for some of the work that you might already be doing to digitally defend Ukraine. So I hope we can all do that as we leave the room here. And I just wanted on my behalf to thank all of you. It's very fittingly once again that we do this on the Ukrainian Defender Day, and with all the already great digital resilience that Ukraine has shown, and we want to support that, and we want to support it over the long haul. So of course there is the war, but there's also, when we're hopeful, there's also reconstruction at some point where the digital also is an important component. So we will also want to be a part of that. So but with that, I want to thank all of you: Valentin Rutsensko, Tamara Tashinka, Nikita Lukianet, Natalie Verameva, and of course also Vice Minister Bonyakov, that joined us digitally. And if you stay tuned, I think there'll be, for other participants, you will see once again sort of a screen with where you can see the links for applying to the program. And so I wish all of you a good and safe day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.